what's your favorite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it us? Where did all the other know? Oh, forget it. Saw a movie, Daniel O'Brien. Two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I am one half of this podcast, senior writer for Last Week Tonight, with John Oliver, author of How to Fight Presidents, and I'm basically the Chris Evans to Soren's Ryan Gosling, because the two of us, we're a couple of gray men. Soren, say hello.
Hey everybody, I'm Soren Bowie. I'm a writer for American Dad, when that show happens to be on the air. We are gray. You say gray. We are wearing gray today, but yeah. I've noticed with some, I gotta say chagrin, Daniel, that my hair I've aged like a wartime president. My hair has gotten very gray and silvery, which is fine. I like having my silvery hair. Yours not only seems untouched by the ravages of time. Death's fingerprints are not on yours. In fact, the reverse seems to be happening, where you have more hair than ever.
Yeah.
And I don't like this.
Well, a few things are happening as far as like white hairs and gray hairs coming in. And this is not like a useful system for you, but my lovely and wonderful fiance is very diligent about one at a time removing them as she sees them. It's like fun for her, and it's important maintenance for me. But the gray hairs are coming, and like I get like weirdly long white eyebrows, and she rips those right out and sets them aside. So the gray doesn't show up. The other thing that's happening, and I'm so glad we got an organic way into this conversation, is that my barber, Sean, whom I love, who I've been going to for I think 4 years now, and like I travel to go to him.
Your fiancé.
Yes, correct. A while ago, he started going a little bit rogue, because like for years I was always saying like I want it pretty short on the sides and like just a little bit off top, so I can do stuff with it. And then time goes on, and I start dating Shay, and she starts having opinions about my hair, and so I would come to him and be like, my girlfriend at the time, she likes it a little bit even longer on top, and she likes it curlier, and I like that too, so don't take off quite as much as you used to. So he started doing that, and the more the top was coming in, the more he was like, I'm starting to like it, and I'm agreeing with what is going on here. And then
he saw her vision.
He saw her vision, and like the last 2 times ago when I got my haircut, he changed the setting on the sides without telling me. And we've used the same setting forever. And then he just made it like drastically shorter. And when the haircut was done, then it was like, yeah, I did 1.5 instead of 2 on the sides this time. I think that's going to give you more shape. And I was like, yes, no, I can see that things are different now. And I thought as it was happening, things were different too, but I'm not the professional here, so I didn't think I should jump in. And then the most recent time he cut my hair, he took almost nothing off the top, and now I'm just like watching it grow to length that it hasn't been in a very long time. And
since you played the clarinet.
Yeah, I really think he has got, like you say, a vision. I think he's got like a long game that he's playing, and he knows that like if he just leaves the top a certain way for a certain amount of time and leaves the sides, then I could be his masterpiece. He can really do something new and special with my hair.
I kind of love that.
And I'm here for it. I'm here for the ride. Do it. I don't know what to do.
You have to really thread the needle with people who are professionals and whatever thing that they're like servicing you with, that you like a bartender, for instance. Like I want to tell to a bartender, like, what are you working on? Like, what do you like? What are you concocting? Yeah. And sometimes you're going to get a bartender that'll be like, Jesus Christ, dude, just order a drink. Like, what do you want? Yeah. Okay. And then other times you're going to get a guy who's like,
what's my favorite thing to make? It's got to be Miller Lite bottle. That's just one of my specialties. You want 2?
You want 3, 4?
Here's a double.
I could shake it if you want. And then there's sometimes you get a guy who's just, or a woman who's like, I create all my own bitters. I'm so glad you asked. Here, take a look at these. This is maple bacon infused, and I like to do like a smoked ice cube in it. And it's like, and then you get somebody who's psyched. And so you finding somebody who's like you can give that kind of rope to is really great. Yeah. It's fun that like this person has taken it in their own hands, because that's just another thing that somebody's thinking about for you that you don't have to keep track of. And that's great.
There was a bar I used to live in West LA called Wellsbourne that had like all of my celebration events were at the Wellsbourne. And a bartender there, I just got to talking to him one day, and like, I'm a pretty standard, like, give me an old fashioned. That's my nice cocktail drink. And he was saying, because he had like a whole bunch of different tiny bitters jars behind him. And they had like hand-drawn labels on them. So I was like, hey guy, what's the deal with that? And he's like, oh, I'm really into bitters. I've just been very fascinated by them. I try to make my own. It's just always something that's been appealing to me. I like the process of it. And when I told the owners of this bar, they actually paid to send me to a convention out of state where they were like,
what?
Doing stuff with bitters. Yeah, it's full like the bare shit that this guy had at the Wellsbourne. And then I learned a bunch about bitters, and then I came back, and now I make my own bitters for the bar. And I'm just like, man, make me something. Like, you know more about this stuff than I do. So like, I like old fashions, I like bourbons, but like, you do your favorite thing that you're working on, and I love it. And now that's what's going on with my hair, apparently.
I'm not to derail this entirely, but if somebody was like, hey, Soren, I want you, gun to your head, make some bitters, I wouldn't even know what to start with. Like, what the foundational ingredient is in bitters, I don't know.
Well, you unpeel, you get the skin off an orange, you put it in a sock, and you soak it, and then eventually
is it even orange?
You squeeze.
I'm not sure it's true.
I don't know. I don't actually know.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I was so far behind that when I was like, what's up with all those fucking jars? And he was like, oh, these are different bitters. He was like, there's different kinds of bitters. It's not just like bitter is the taste of the thing, no?
Yeah. I'd gamble. I'd be like, it's got to be like a root, right? It's just a soaked root. I could do that. I have no idea what it is. And I don't think I've ever just tasted pure bitters. I'm such an idiot. I don't even know if it's actually bitter. I would assume not. My drinks that I get are always kind of sweet when they got bitters in them.
Yeah, and it's used in old fashions, but very, very judiciously. It's like warning, just get a couple of shakes of the bitters jar in there, just like a splash that almost looks like you're doing nothing, just a few drops of this thing. But this guy specializes in it.
Yeah. Well, your hair is looking
really
great, Daniel.
Oh, thanks,
I just
buddy.
want to say,
yours is too.
Put you on the compliment couch for a second. Your hair's looking great, dude. Yeah, I've noticed on the last few podcasts when I see you, or when you go fishing, like, he's figured it out. He's locked it in.
Yeah. It's incredibly vain, but like when I, from being shaved head for so long and really seeing my future as a bald person, and now just having like a clump of hair to like bounce it around and watch it bounce in the mirror, it's a very special. I'm truly blessed.
It's like turning back the hands of time.
Yeah.
It's like the only time in your life, at this point in your life, where you're actually going to, like, things get better. That's it left my mouth and I heard how dark it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything is trending in a certain direction once you get past like 37, and not fast, but rarely do you start to like, does your body go through changes where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is even better than it was before. And this is one of those things, and it's just got to feel so good.
Listeners should know Soren had a birthday a couple weeks ago. I don't think he's doing well with it.
Listen, I am a spinning top, and there's nothing you can do to make that top go faster. And you see it starting to wobble a little. And now all you can do is just watch all of the different steps it takes before that top stops spinning for good.
Soren, let's get into it. Hawk Tuah girl. What do you think about her? What's your thoughts on the Hawk Tuah girl?
Love Hawk Tuah girl. But I do have a lot of thoughts about Hawk Tuah Girl, but we don't have to actually get into that. I know that's a joke. I'm a little pissed off about Hawk Tuah Girl.
Yeah, just so our listeners know, if you're completely non-internet and have been living under a rock, for starters, there is like a genre of internet video that is ostensibly a man on the street, usually outside of like a popular main street with bars, where it's a person filming on a camera with a microphone, asking random people who've probably had a few drinks
Yes.
questions. Sometimes it's trivia questions, sometimes it's just like very casual. Do you think you like assholes more than you like nice guys kind of thing? Just like very strange man on the street. It's like a whole genre of video that I don't know if it's actually connected to a larger show, because I've only ever seen clips of it popping up in like TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. They go viral every once in a while. This most recent one, there was someone who I believe was in Nashville, and the boilerplate question that he asked these two attractive young women who had come out of a bar, and it seemed like they'd had a few drinks. He was asking them, what is something that you could do to drive a man wild in bed, guaranteed? And this young woman, who I believe her name is Haley, she said, oh, you just gotta Hawk Tuah, spit on that thing, ha 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 ha. And then she and her friend leave off camera. The thing in question, I believe we're talking about spitting on a wiener, and it drives the man crazy. And you go Hawk Tuah. Even though I think the preferred descriptor would be Hawk Tuah, she just said Hawk Tuah, spit on that thing. And for a lot of like, it had enough ingredients that contributed to its success to go viral. She is unbelievably
Like
charming.
crazy viral.
She's
more viral than
she's-
things have
she's
gone in a while. Like
more
everyone
yeah,
knows
like
Hawk Tuah.
the most viral thing. It was everywhere on the internet. I was seeing like memes and reactions to it before I'd seen it itself, because it was just like it had spread everywhere. And it's lots of people had opinions on it. It was it's charming in the way that like we haven't had big viral things in a while. So I was curious to see like, a piece of internet monoculture, the likes of which we haven't seen in a very long time. So I'm curious if you do have any thoughts on her.
I do.
This
I
woman
have
who I
lots of
believe
thoughts.
is named Haley.
I was also very charmed by the fact that. So it used to be in the day where like a movie came out in the 80s, everyone you know saw that movie. A show was on in the like early 90s or whatever. Like everybody knows. That's Cracked was predicated on this fact that everybody had like this collective knowledge that they weren't even aware that they possessed, that gave them like a good head start starting point on any critical analysis of like that decade, which was not true of
Yeah.
anybody else, like or any other time. Like you can't talk about shows the same way you could talk about Home Improvement when it was on. This like mediocre B- show but every single person watched it. And so you all like there was only so many things on. And movies, there were only so many movies that came out and everybody saw every movie. That's not the case anymore. Now, we were already lamenting that fact in the age of the internet, not realizing that the internet itself was one of those new things. That early on, everybody on the internet was seeing the same internet. It was like turning something on and all watching it together because it was such a limited supply of content already. And it was really nice. It was really nice when like everybody had the same shorthand for what was going on around the world. And we don't have that anymore. And this felt like reminiscent of that. All of a sudden there was this event. And everybody shared it. Everybody knew it. Everybody had it. And like everybody's reaction to it, while varied, was like the same, that like this is our inside joke. But everybody's okay with that. You don't want your niche group to just have it. Everybody having it was fine. Now, I think that I've like watched this several times trying to get what people are like really, what they're latching onto about it. And I'm so fucking baffled because it doesn't seem, there's no like, other than like surface deep, there's like nothing else that I'm really seeing that like is making people latch on to this. My brother and I talked about this a lot too, because he came to me, he's like, I don't get it. It seems like something that people that people latch onto who don't actually know the internet. Like people who are just like very early on when people get caught up on memes, like they would be people who had no actual interest in the internet, but a coworker or whatever would pass something along to them and be like, hey, check this out. Or they get forwarded it by their uncle and they'd be like, ha ha, I got to show that to other people. That's what Hawk Tuah felt like to me.
It was a strange, its success was strange because you can explain why it's not famous in a couple of different ways. The joke isn't on her. So we can't say like this spread because we're all making fun of her. This isn't like Ben Shapiro said something embarrassing online, or a while ago there was that guy who became the main character on Twitter because he wrote a post celebrating his overweight wife in a way that was very like flattering of himself, and just like answering a question that no one asked. This guy was like, by the way, I love my chubby wife and I think you're crazy if you don't. And we're all like, everyone's like, we don't know who you are, but like, we're going to talk about this for a week and we're going to kind of make fun. Like, you're not brave. You're trying to get hero status for doing this and we're going to make fun of you for it.
Yeah.
That's not happening here. No one is like, she is not ripe for being made fun of. So we can cross that off the list. She is conventionally attractive. It's not like she is world explodingly attractive. It's not like this is like that's not.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of this before and you're trying to play detective now and you're sitting at home listening and thinking this girl must be really hot, it's not that. It's not like everyone is saying look at this hot girl, and no one is saying like we're gonna pretend she's this what she is saying is funny or meaningful because we're attracted to this person. So we can cross that off the list too. She is not saying the most insane thing in the world. It's not like a guy said, what is a move you can do in bed that drives a guy crazy? And she was like, oh, obviously light their pubes on fire. Goodbye.
Yeah.
She didn't say something so nuts that we all had to like stop in our tracks and look at it. All of these are reasons why it didn't go, like our explanations for why it didn't go viral. We still don't have a compelling explanation for why it did. And like, I have since you can learn about this woman who, by all rights, seemed like a great person, sincerely. And that might just be like the narrative that's building around her now, but she lives in somewhere in Tennessee. She works at a factory. She takes care of her grandmother. She has no aspirations of being like a viral star or anything like that. It's a great story for like a good person to get 15 minutes of fame. That also isn't why everyone on the internet was talking about her. We didn't know any of that shit. We didn't know about the factory or grandma. That's not why it showed up on my page.
The only thing I can assume is that there are people who are living their lives in places like Tennessee and the surrounding area in which they have discovered something like spitting during sex and thought, I can't ever tell anyone about this. Like, this is a thing that only I can know about, and it's working, and this is great. And they are completely oblivious to pornography that currently exists, to anyone else talking about this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden somebody came out and did this very cathartic thing and just gave you the most brass tacks version of it, the most clumsy, like gross version of it. Not even like a spit, like I'm gonna garner up some mucus first and spit that at this guy's dick, which was. I understand why that would be super cathartic for some people. Of like the way comedians used to land on something like everybody's doing but nobody's talking about, and everyone was just like, yes, yes. I have to assume that that's what it is for like this huge wad of the population that wouldn't ordinarily be exposed to something like this. For the rest of us who are fucking rad at sex, right? There's nothing crazy about it, but we're sort of like, ah ha ha ha. And then we're left to just sort of live in this pool of like people who are like so excited about a thing that we're like, yeah, dude. I don't know what's actually going on here, but it's fine. She seems nice.
Yeah. And to be clear, all for this woman and her success. I like, this is not, we're not angry. I don't think I could, I think I can speak for Soren. We're not mad about her success or anything. The thing that gave me slight pause is that last week, Hollywood Reporter did an interview with the management company that signed this young woman, and not an interview with her, just with like her new manager. And it's a very, you'd think this was like written by the management company. It's a very fawning interview, and the manager is just talking about what a great story this is and how much money they're turning down from different brands and all these other opportunities that they're saying no to, and like these $1 million deals they're saying no to so they can do the right deal and they can really tell her story. And the interviewer at Hollywood Reporter is like, no, totally. And what makes her different? What makes her special? It's like, oh, thank you for asking. She's just special and wonderful and has a great story to tell, and we love her for it, and she loves her grandma. And I'm like, that can't be the... Why isn't... So, like, I want this girl to make $1 billion. I do. Because I want everyone to make money for doing whatever. I want us all to be comfortable and live the lives that we want. I don't want to gatekeep her from anything. But the question I would ask if I'm the Hollywood Reporter talking to the manager is like, yeah, but like, what is she gonna do? That's the strange thing about internet virality, especially now, where it's like you were viral for like specifically for a very strange, organic, lightning in a bottle moment. Like, you could even say the answer could be actress, or the answer could be writer or podcaster, or I'm going to use this, I'm going to sell Hawk Tuah merchandise to start a business selling honey, or I'm going to use this to launch a music career. Any of those things are acceptable answers because they are all like jobs that I understand. But none of that was covered in this interview because that's this silly business of internet virality to larger fame pipeline. No one understands exactly how it works. There's a whole lot of it's a big shell game, and there's a lot of like management companies who will sign someone because they're popular, because they captured the attention of the entire internet for a moment. And they're like, great, now we get this, and we're going to monetize it, and we're going to sell it. And it's like, sure, but like how, and like what, and like what are you actually selling? And that kind of, that economics of the internet that I don't understand, because I don't think anyone understands it yet. But they're just so, the beginning and end seems to be like, hey, 18 million people saw this video, so.
Right. It's just
so that means it's a good business decision for me to sign her. And it's like, okay, that's... But then what are you going to do? Is she going to write a book?
The internet hasn't changed in that regard. So, like, when things used to go viral like this in a very big way, the same shit happened. Like, Ken Bone gets signed by an agency, and like a talent agency, and Ken Bone gets, like, optioned. Like, there's options of Ken Bone's life story and stuff like that. And no one quite knows what to do, and they all end up failing. Like, I can't think of a single success story out of this. The closest I can think of is Shit My Dad Says, which got its own show, but then that show collapsed. Like, Shit My Dad Says was a Twitter profile that was just the things somebody's dad was saying, and they were always really funny things. Like, is this the movie with the Draculas and stuff like that? And somebody was like, okay, that's going very viral. Lots of people look at this. Let's do a thing, and then they made a television show out of it, and that feels like the most substantial thing.
Even that is a very that's sort of an outlier, because that was a Twitter account that was just this guy regurgitating things that his dad said in real life that was so popular that it was sold later as a book, and the book was turned into a TV show. The guy behind the Twitter account is Justin Halpern, who has since written other books and is the co-creator of the Harley Quinn show on Max. He is like fully a television writer for the rest of his life, which is like a career arc that makes sense to me. It's like, oh, this is a funny thing on the internet. Yes. I'm going to write it because I'm a writer, and now I'm going to like continue like parlay this into writing success in a way that makes tremendous sense.
That makes more, that they pluck individual people out of this world because the person is being funny. It also makes a lot of sense to me. Like, what, Jen Ingram? Is that her name? Whoa. Just a second. What's the name of the woman who got a job on Parks and Rec, I think? Maybe The Office?
Megan Amram.
Megan Amram. Okay. So like Megan
Megan
Amram, or Shelby Farrell, like people who were very funny online in 180 characters, and somebody else saw that and was like, oh, there's an easy one-to-one translation into like actual writing for this. That's an easy trajectory that I totally understand. Hawk Tuah, there were some other like Ken Bone, like these ones, there is no, the trajectory doesn't exist. It's just somebody who got famous for a minute and maybe like the assumption is that they're capturing something in the zeitgeist, like that they have their finger on some pulse. And so everybody wants a piece of that. And so you watch these people come out of the woodwork who are like, I will represent you. I have this idea for you. I want you to open a bowling alley. And like, and everybody wants a piece of that fame because they think that those eyes will then turn, like the eyes of the millions who watch this will turn to them too, which is.
I want you to open a bowling alley.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm thinking of opening a bowling alley, Dan. And I need this podcast. I need you to talk about it on Last Week Tonight. It would really help me out.
The thing that makes me excited about the Hawk Tuah girl story or young woman story that I never thought about at the time as a little baby internet person is that I have gotten so much enjoyment. Millions of us have gotten so much enjoyment out of memes, and sometimes like single images, like a joke that is punctuated with an image of Ken Bone, or that meme that is just 3 stock photo models where a woman is walking down the street, a man and his girlfriend are walking. He is turning to look at another woman while his girlfriend looks at him, disgust. He's clearly checking out someone. That image has been used and memed all over the place, and it's given me and a lot of other people hours and hours and hours of enjoyment. I'm not trying to be glib about memes creating a lot of enjoyment. Even though memes perhaps destroyed sites like crack.com because that's how people wanted their comedy. They no longer wanted articles, they wanted pictures and 2 words. But still, like, we have seen like memes spread and like serve as punchlines. The overly attached girlfriend, just like a single image of one woman from a video tilting her head and making a strange face, has been used a billion times on the internet. And a thing that we didn't think about at the time that I've thought more and more about as I've gotten older is like, hey, the people who are responsible for all of these hours of entertainment should be paid in some way. So if like Hawk Tuah girl, like in the Wild West days of the internet, that idea was unthinkable. It was just like, who owns the internet? Who owns anything? We're all just putting stuff out there, and maybe I'm the one who should make money because I put it in this context that creates the joke. None of us really cared too much about it. Now we're all a little bit savvier. So like someone can look at Hawk Tuah girl and say like, this has got more eyes on it than the Young Sheldon finale.
Yeah.
She should be paid. She should be paid for the amount of enjoyment that she created on the internet and all of the water cooler moments that she made. And I am all for that. I don't know if this management company is the way to do it because I don't think if they know what they're doing.
God, I mean, you're absolutely right.
And there's unfortunately not like just like a bank of internet that we all feed into, that the president of the internet goes through at the end of every month and been like, all right, time to distribute the money, the internet money, to the people who created the most enjoyment this month. Here you go, Hawk Tuah girl. Yeah. Here you go.
Here you go, llamas that escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Like, yeah, these people deserve some sort of compensation. Not even compensation. I mean, like, the fame is not enough, is what I'm saying. That used to be the thing. At the beginning of the internet, nobody cared because there was no money there. And the fact that millions of people were seeing you and suddenly you were vaulted into stardom felt like enough. Like people recognized you, and that was exciting. it's not for the same reason that like college sports, that's not enough for them. There's consequence to this. There's a bunch of people peeking into this woman's life now. People know where she lives. Like there's all because she's caught the attention of everybody. You've also caught the attention of danger, of things that aren't good for your life. And there should be. I absolutely believe that she deserves to be wealthy now. Like she did this thing that everyone loved.
and we just don't understand what that job is yet. We understand writer as a job, comedian as a job, actor, personality, reality show star, podcaster. We understand these as jobs. And so in the past and perhaps the present, that is the pipeline that we tried to get going. We tried to get viral success into, let's make that now fit into a job description that we understand so that we can get you paid. And it's like, she might not want to do any of those things. She should still be compensated for the amount of enjoyment we all got from this moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean she should get a reality show or a podcast or whatever other, first thought ideas a management company has.
Yeah, that's like the real downer of it is that I think you really nailed it, which is that they're like, okay, now we're gonna monetize this, and we're gonna monetize it in the realms that we know. So immediately it's like, well, these things make money. Let's just throw her at one of these things. And those are not the right fit at all. But I love your idea that there should be that we all pay to use the internet, like not a huge fee, but like it's like buying into a lottery. And because we're all participating, occasionally you might be the winner of that lottery because you did something. And if you're making content for the internet, if you're doing anything on the internet, you just pay in a little bit. It's part of it's part of like your subscription to Spectrum or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then every month they're like, okay, let's see who the top performers were this month. Oh, this thing brought a lot of joy to people. Hey, let's throw some money at it.
I could see it being certainly gameable by bad actors. I could also see it blowing up in our face when they're like, all right, we crunched the numbers. And once again, that's $1 million to the estate of Michael Jackson for that gif of him eating popcorn. We got to stop using that. Don't know where that money's going. Throwing some money at Orson Welles clapping gif. What are we doing, folks?
I have to think that it's not true. That the same ones don't stay forever because we do get sick of them. The same way like memes have a clear shelf life. Like they still get used or they find a way to resurface, but they're never as powerful as they were at the very beginning. And so I have to think that as new stuff develops and people get excited about Khaleesi making like a little scrunchy face, like everyone's like, okay, well this time it was her. Like we're gonna give money. Hold on, let me rethink this. I don't know if I want to give Game of Thrones any more money than they already got. Maybe the inventor of Impact Bold. Do you think that person knows that like they must have gotten paid whatever you get paid to create a font, which I cannot imagine is more than $1,000. And Impact Bold is now the most important font to our entire culture.
There was a clip from The Office where our friend Sean Burry played a barista. He has like one line. I think it's either he's like got a coffee for Dwight or he's got a coffee for Michael Scott. It's one of the two where he's like holding out a coffee for Michael, coffee for Dwight. And whomever is the subject of this is like pretending he doesn't hear the person. I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, but it's a funny scene in a funny show. And that GIF, for whatever reason, went gangbusters and is like still used as like a reaction GIF. And it's great to see our pal Sean get his face out there. But at the end of the day, I'm also thinking like, hey, Sean's an actor. I don't think he's getting paid every time this fucking GIF gets used all over the internet. That would be great if we could.
I'm just now realizing because like he's responsible for one of the very early memes. Sean everyone has seen this. I'm sure of it. There's a big dog and there's a guy who's got his face in front of the big dog, too close to the big dog for like 2 seconds, and then the dog just takes a paw and swats at him and like hits him square across the face for being too close. And we all loved it. That's Sean. Like that's him again. That's Sean Burry, and that was like his great big dog Yeti. And that's, yeah, I mean, it gets used so much. And Sean, I assume that did not help his career anyway, in any conceivable way. And I would like it to have. Yeah, that would make me happy.
Yeah. I sincerely cannot believe we did a Hawk Tuah girl episode. I'm so happy. I kind of hoped it would happen.
Did you?
I
didn't know
this well.
Well, it turns out I had a lot to say about it.
So, before we started recording, I thought it would be a funny joke if I asked Soren his thoughts on Hawk Tuah girl. And it was like in the back of my mind as a joke I could play with if there was a lull. And then there wasn't a lull. You were just talking about being a spinning top who's going to die. And
that was very funny.
This is even better than a lull. I am so excited for this non sequitur that we somehow milked for 35 minutes.
This is immediately my brother texted me and he was like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why this is so popular. And I was like, I don't either. But you're right. I hadn't thought about how important it is to me that she sees some sort of benefit from this, because you're right. She deserves it.
Yeah.
Whether I understand it or not.
Yeah, if you're out there, you deserve money. This is gonna sound hypocritical, but I promise it's not. I'm not gonna give you any money.
No.
Yeah, and here's why. Because what I did is, I gave us the thing that gets us to the thing. I had the brainstorm that was you should have money, and so that's my contribution to your coffers. Everyone else needs to fill them, but like I opened the door.
I'm not a VC. I'm not a guy who's in charge of money.
No,
I'm an idea man, and this is my idea. You know, the other thing we did for Hawk Tuah Girl, Dan, was we paid her an exposure with this podcast, and that's always a famously big thing, to be paid in exposure. People love getting paid in exposure.
Absolutely. We've been paying ourselves an exposure for like 6 years now. We are so flush with exposure.
I wish that I could buy a house with exposure. That's I've got piles of it sitting around.
Because we're living proof. With exposure comes opportunities. What kind of opportunities? Why, later today, I'm guesting on one of our other friends' podcasts. So you tell me.
It was when I was thinking about getting off of X, I was like, yeah, I got this audience of like 70,000 people here. Like, it would be a shame. I spent a long time building that. It'd be a shame to just lose all that. And I was like, wait a second. Why? Why would that be a shame to lose a bunch of bots or whatever they are? Like all these people that aren't actually even paying attention to my feed. Like, who cares? The exposure means nothing. I just need a place to do my jokes where people aren't going to try intentionally take them in bad faith ways. So I moved over to Blue Sky.
I can't recommend downloading Blue Sky and following Soren enough. He's really just doing jokes, and some of them are pretty dark. Getting old is a theme. But it's just like, I go to Blue Sky and it's a lot of people who are saying that like reposting things from Twitter that are bad, and a few people promoting stuff. It's not like I haven't curated a robust following stream to make it an enjoyable experience for me. So it's just like a bunch of bullshit. And then Soren doing like 4 jokes a day, just like 4 like crafted jokes that he's thought about, and they've got punchlines and they're clever, and everyone else is just like, okay, that's what he's doing. You know, you're walking down Times Square and someone is dressed as Elmo and someone's doing backflips, and you're like, okay, that's his thing. I don't know why you're doing that.
Okay, all right, that's nice.
There's the naked cowboy. There's Soren doing his thing. Who cares?
This guy has some flyers. Flyers aren't even for a show or anything. This is for a religion. Okay, that's his thing. It's for no one there. I mean, I don't interact with anybody. Occasionally though, like I'll do a joke on there. I'll be like, that's a good joke. and then like it'll get like 7 likes. And I'll be like, oh, it really wasn't a good joke.
There's
I
such
don't
a-
really know what people want here.
There's such a purity to it because with Twitter there were at some point reasons for using it. It was essential for our career to build an
Yeah.
audience on Twitter. It was also a place where writers could get discovered and get other work and make more money. Blue Sky, neither of those things are true of Blue Sky. That's not. You're not building an organic audience there. You're only building an audience of people who have decided to make that migration and decided to track you down and remember you. No one is hiring writers off of Blue Sky.
No.
You're just in it for the love of the game. You're just making jokes there. And
Yeah.
and
You should try it. It's really fun. It's really it's
and
I
Soren-
wouldn't say rewarding, but it's something.
no. But like,
It's like
I'll put my money where my mouth is on this Hawk Tuah girl stuff. I'm gonna Venmo you some money because you
Oh,
provide
that'd
me
be great.
entertainment.
that'd be great. I haven't worked since February. That would be awesome.
Is it really February? It can't
No,
be.
I'm being hyperbolic,
All right.
but we've had a pretty long hiatus as these contracts with like the NBA and our network get all
Yeah.
negotiated. So it's taken a while.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thank
Uh,
you for listening to this podcast. Do you want me to end it here? Is that okay?
It's okay with me.
All right, great. You've been listening to Quick Question with Soren and Daniel. This was our Hawk Tuah episode, as we've been announcing for a while that we were going to do. I hope you enjoyed it. You can follow Daniel or I on Blue Sky. You can follow Quick Question on X still. There sometimes they'll do video clips of this exact podcast because this is both an audio and a video podcast. You can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on Apple Podcasts. And if you're interested in bonus content, you can find that on our Patreon. And if you don't really want to join for Patreon, you want to sign up for our Patreon, you can sign up for Apple Podcasts, which I think is like $5.99 a month, and you will get bonus content to a lot of other podcasts, as well as this one, where we do both video and audio bonus content. We answer questions from you guys a lot. And if you liked our theme song, that's by Me Rex. You could find their music anywhere you stream your music, or you can go to merex.bandcamp.com for full albums. Obviously, cannot forget about Gabe Harder. Gabe Harder is the glue to this podcast. I don't even know what to call him anymore because he plays so many different roles. It feels silly to go through all the different things that he does, but everything you like about this podcast was probably Gabe Harder. So you won't find him anywhere. This is the only place he exists, and we're keeping this nugget to ourselves. That's it. I think.
Bye. Oh,
Bye.
yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it us? Where did all the other know? Oh, forget it. Soren Bowie, Daniel O'Brien. Two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.